and quite dead. The gleaming metal half melted and distorted. The arms fused to the torso and the legs fused together by some unimaginable heat. I hadn't thought there was anything in the world that could do that to Drood armor. There was no smoke in the air, no heat radiating from the fire-blasted hallway. Whatever had happened here, it had clearly happened some time before. Days before. So I hadn't missed it by much. The attackers had come here, slaughtered my family, blown up and set fire to my home, and then left. All while I was off enjoying myself in the south of France. I stood before the open doorway, and I didn't know what to do. What to say? My stomach ached, and even breathing hurt in my tightened chest. Molly Metcalfe moved in close beside me and slipped an arm tentatively through mine, pressing herself against me, standing as close to me as she could, to give me what comfort she could. "Why didn't I know?" I said numbly. "How could something like this happen and I didn't know? Why didn't anyone reach out to me?" "Maybe it all happened too quickly," said Molly. "It must have been a surprise attack to catch your whole family so off guard." The strength just went out of my legs, and I crashed to my knees on the gravel before the doorway. It should have hurt like hell, but I didn't feel a thing. Too taken up with the greater hurt that filled my head and my heart and overwhelmed everything else. I would have liked to cry. I'm sure it would have helped if only I could have cried, but all I could feel was cold and lost and alone. You never know how much your family means to you until you've lost them all. Molly crouched at my side, one arm draped across my shoulders. I'm sure her words would have helped if I'd listened, but there was no room in me for anything but the growing need for rage and revenge. If tears would come, it would have to be later and far from here, after I'd done all the terrible things that I would do to my enemy. I knelt before what was left of my home and my family, and shook uncontrollably in the grip of emotions I never thought I'd have to feel. Molly put her arms around me and rocked me gently back and forth, like a mother with a child. After a while, I became aware that Molly was speaking urgently to me, almost shouting into my ear. "Come on, Eddie. We can't stay here. We have to go. There's always the chance whoever did this might come back, and we can't afford to be here if they do. If your whole family couldn't stand against them, we certainly can't." I nodded slowly and got to my feet again, with her help. My head was clearing, all the pain and horror and loss pushed aside by a cold and savage need for revenge. I couldn't leave here, not yet. I needed information and weapons, and more than anything, I needed some clue to tell me my enemy's name, and then nothing was going to stand in my way. All the awful things I would do to him and anyone who stood alongside him would make my name an abomination on the lips of the world. And I wouldn't give a damn. I wasn't used to thinking like that, but it seemed to come very easily. I was, after all, a Drood. The last Drood. Molly realized she wasn't going to get any sense out of me. She looked at the ruined hall before her, and the sheer scale of so much destruction seemed to overwhelm even her for a moment. "What the hell happened here, Eddie? What could have done this?" "I don't know," I said. My voice sounded distant and far away. "The Chinese tried to nuke us once, back in the 60s, and that got nowhere. No one struck directly at the hall for ages. I would have said there was nothing and no one in the world that could get past all our defenses and protections. This is all my fault, you know." "What?" said Molly, turning immediately to look at me with her large dark eyes. "I should have been here," I said steadily. "I wasn't with my family when the enemy came. If I had been here, maybe I could have done something. Saving the day against impossible odds is what I do, isn't it?" "Stop that," Molly said firmly. "Stop that right now, Eddie. What could you have done that your whole family couldn't? If you had been here, odds are you'd be lying here dead too." "I can do something now," I said. "I can avenge my family. I can be the last Drood. I can bring down